Everything that these players have worked for over the course of this weekend is now coming to a close, and we are going to crown our DreamHack Montreal 2018 champion. Bringing you all of the action for our finals will be Dr. Chikaninki and Lorinda on the desk. It is Justsaiyan versus Feno, guys. I don't think we could have picked a better finals. These two players have had such incredible years at tour stops and DreamHacks in particular, and this is going to be a fantastic final match. I'm
so excited for both of these players. We spend the whole year saying how good they are, and then they don't win it. It's like, what's happening? Hunter Ace has been what's happening. He's gone, and these two are going to get their chance to prove that they can win a tour stop. And whoever wins it, we are going to get the story of, we told you so. These guys are going to win a tour stop this year, and one of them is definitely going to get that done.
These players are just two of, you know, some of the best players in the world. Both of them, you know, are very deserving of this title, but it's only going to come down to one of them. I was talking to Feno. He's like, I don't know if I could take this loss.
Yeah, I don't want to lose in the final
right now. We are in finals right now. Both these players want it bad.
I mean, Feno and Saiyan respect the hell out of each other. Obviously, they are on opposing teams as far as the team standings go right now. Tempo Storm and Fade to Karma have been right at the top, neck and neck of the team standings, and Tempo Storm did end up pulling out in front of Team Fade to Karma in the last team standing season. But it's a whole new ballgame now. Will Tempo Storm remain ahead, or will Fade to Karma catch up? This certainly would be a nice little confidence boost for whichever team manages to take this one. But like these guys were saying, regardless of who wins, this is going to be a phenomenal story. It's not an underdog story. It's not a newcomer to the scene who battles the best and comes out above the rest. This is two guys who have put in the work. They've put in the time. They have fought hard. They've won. They've lost. But now it's going to come all the way down to this. And Feno has a unique opportunity here because he is 12-0 in match record. If he wins this finals, he will match Ike's perfect record from DreamHack Denver last year. Yeah, and Ike lost that perfect record eventually in Austin this year. I think he went like 5-0 first.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
He just kept going and going, but it's going to be Feno who has that to say. Also, a stat that I find interesting, Feno has the most wins in DreamHack matches this year. Saiyan has the most wins in DreamHack matches ever.
I still think it's incredible that he overtook Tars.
Yeah.
Tars was at every DreamHack for so long. And now the one that Tars doesn't go to, Saiyan does so well at, and Saiyan just pulls out ahead.
Yeah, and they're both battling to get to Master as well, and they're not far off. The 15 points for the winner, the 12 points for second place. That's going to boost them right up those rankings. I know they're different regions, so you don't compare completely exactly.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a chance to chase Hunter Ace down in those points, not necessarily for last call, or in the Feno's case it will be, but just to get that race to 3-star Master, closing that gap by quite a few more points with Hunter Ace only reaching the quarterfinals.
Only getting to the top 8 in, you know, his 8th tour stop finish.
Yeah,
I think this year, something insane.
But he's done so well when he's got to those top 16s, and then he hasn't been to every event. He did top 8 at playoffs as well. He's been ridiculous. But these guys have amassed their fair share of, in Feno's case, I think it's a lot of top 16s and top 8s. In Saiyan's case, he's had 2 semi-final defeats already, so he's already gone one better. And I just can't wait to see who wins this.
I think this is a story of two players who have grinded so much to get to this point, and both these players have, you know, just been highly respected within the scene for just being the titles and the names that they are. But the one thing they are missing right now is a title for themselves, and both of these players, I think, want it more than the other players in the top 16 right now.
Yeah, that's a cliche, but in this case, it is true. They've both reinvented themselves to get here. Saiyan took a month out at the start of the year and just like sort of gave himself a bit of a kick and got himself going again. Feno, I think, joining F2K has really, I've said this so many times, I'm going to say it one last time before this final, he's really just calmed down his attitude, taking it a lot more seriously. Takes defeats well. He takes defeats well by not having any, apparently. That's how he gets around getting upset by losing. Going 12-0 in the event. It's just insane how these guys are doing.
Absolutely incredible performances so far. And we can take a look at their routes to this finals. It has not been easy for either of these players. Feno in the top 16 after having won all 9 of his matches to get there, which I cannot emphasize enough how hard that is to do in a last hero standing format. He beat level 9001 3-0. Then we saw him this morning in a 5-game set, ultimately taking the victory over Yarla, and then another 5-game set, taking the win over Impact. For Justsaiyan, he had a 3-0 sweep over Tare, the HCT Oakland champion. Then he had a 3-2 victory, finally, third time's the charm there over Hunter Ace, who's defeated him in 2 semifinals at Tour Stops this year. And then we just saw him with a really definitive 3-0 sweep over Gallon to qualify for this finals.
With that Hunter Ace win under Justsaiyan's belt, I think that, we were joking earlier about how that was one of his, arch nemesises and, just a demon that he would need to conquer if he were trying to, take that title. But right now, he's got the second demon ahead of him. That is that infamous title of being a champion.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult. This is the bit where we normally say how the player who played the second semi-finals at a disadvantage because they're probably a bit more tired. They've got to go straight into the game. But Feno has had a grueling day, and Saiyan's been just smashing people off the table. So maybe this time around we don't have to say that one. Maybe it's Feno who maybe be feeling a little bit of the tiredness. But then he had a bit of an easier day yesterday, going 7-0, relaxes you. Yeah, he went 9-0, and he would want to do that, but a little bit of the pressure off. But I think maybe Feno will be a bit tired. That first game this morning went on for a very long
series.
time.
And I also think momentum's a big thing in Hearthstone. And momentum's a big thing in just any kind of, activity you're doing. And right now, I think Saiyan's got a little bit more momentum than Feno right now. It's hard to say. Both these players do have that momentum going for them, but Saiyan has been crushing left and right through this top 16 bracket, so I wouldn't be surprised if that helps him out a lot.
It's tough to say who's going to have an edge, so we might as well take a look at the picks and bans and see if the deck lists help us to determine which of these players will be maybe at a little bit of an advantage here. Both these guys, cool, calm, collected. They've had long weekends, but they are ready for this moment. Druid banned away for Feno. Saiyan's Warlock is going to be off the table, and that leaves Rogue, Warrior, Warlock for Feno, Saiyan with the Druid, Hunter, and the Rogue.
It's just a matter of, who's going to queue what into what. That's going to be a big factor this series. You do have matchups like Saiyan's Hunter into Feno's Warrior is a very strong one, but then again on the reverse side, if Feno can hit that Quest Rogue into Saiyan's Hunter, that changes a lot there, because then Saiyan may not have as clean an answer to that Warrior as he would have liked to have in the first place.
And queuing anything into Feno's Quest Rogue has been a problem in this tournament. Odd rogues, whatever you've queued into his Rogue, he's just beat you down anyway.
Feno had the absolute best draw I think we've seen for Quest Rogue in this entire tournament in his last match today. But then I got a chance to talk a little bit to Amnesiac, who is Justsaiyan's teammate. While Saiyan was playing Hunter Ace, you could tell Amnesiac was a little bit nervous. He definitely wanted Saiyan to win that one. And he commented on the fact that Hunter Ace banned Saiyan's Hunter deck and was saying, finally figured it out. Because all of the Tempo Storm players brought the same lineup. And Warlock had been consistently getting banned. But Amnesiac seemed to think that the Hunter was the deck that has really been performing for the players with this lineup. So Feno has left that Hunter open for Saiyan. Will that be a bit of a ringer? It seems like you guys at home so far think that Feno's got the edge here, but make sure you comment hashtag Fenomino or hashtag Justsaiyan in the chat. Get your vote in, and we will ultimately be finding out who you are rooting for in this finals match. But I do have to ask you guys as well. Lorinda, I know that you don't want to pick sides here. I know that this is really difficult for you. So I'm going to go to you second. Dr. J,
do you have a spot like this?
Yep. Do you have a preference here? Feno or Saiyan? I know you're big fans of both these guys, but I got to ask.
I'm not Tempo Storm Justsaiyan, but it's going to be Justsaiyan. I'm not just saying, but it's going to be Justsaiyan.
You're praying for Justsaiyan.
I'm praying for Justsaiyan right now. I want to see Justsaiyan take it on. I want to see 2 Tempo Storm members win back-to-back DreamHacks. I want to see that storyline.
Be a good storyline, Lorinda. If you got to pick between your kids, which one's it going to be?
I want both of these guys to win this so much. Pick one of those.
Don't do this to me. All right.
I'm going to pick...
I got to go with this one.
I'm going to pick Saiyan, apparently.
Oh.
That's how I've decided.
Okay.
I want both of these guys to win. There's no way. I even asked, do I have to make a pick? And I was told, yes, you do. That's your job. Get out there and do it. So I bailed and got Chase to pick for me.
Copped out a little bit, but that's okay. I respect that you figured out a way to get through that for yourself, Lorinda. And it didn't look easy, but you know what? You did your job. Good job, man. I think the desk is unanimous for the first time this weekend. I really like Feno as a player. I would love to see Feno win, and I think we're all in agreement that we would be perfectly happy for either of these players to win. It would be a phenomenal story and a great ending to a great tournament, but I really would like to see Saiyan take this one. I would like to see Saiyan rise to the top alongside his teammates Amnesiac and Muzzy, who have taken championship titles themselves this year. I would like to see Justsaiyan be able to get a championship title of his own. But you at home are disagreeing.
Woo, don't disagree with the best.
71% to Feno, 29% to Justsaiyan. I wish we could pick your brains out there and see exactly why. I have a large feeling that the Greek community has something to do with it. They are passionate. They want Feno to win.
Oh yeah, you're a traitor. I remember now.
I have the last name, but at heart, I'm a Saiyan fan.
In fairness, Feno does do those amazing show matches, which have helped Hearthstone players everywhere. Like, just take something that people are arguing what's favored and just go, okay, we're not just going to play a best of 11 and find out what wins in this tiny sample, but we're also going to talk about it with high-level players afterwards and during, and try and work out what is favored. And he's done that, I don't know, 11, 12 times now. And
yeah, he's got
so good.
He's got a very strong community that he's built through his stream over the years, and it's just a very passionate one. And also, like you were mentioning earlier, that Greek community. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes this title, but I still got to go for Justsaiyan.
All right, well, we're going to find out. Is the caster curse real? Are we horribly, horribly wrong? Or is Justsaiyan going to rise to the Tempo Storm occasion and match his teammates with a championship title? The time is now. The finals of the DreamHack Montreal 2018 Hearthstone Grand Prix between Feno and Justsaiyan starts now.
The match that needs no hyping up. Every single person knows who these two guys are. And Hunter Ace is out of the way. Going to find out who's going to be emerging as the next challenger, I guess, in terms of gaining those points on him. Feno and Saiyan, we've made our picks, but are we comfortable with them? Are we confident? No, we're not. You're not allowed to answer that. You're not confident.
I am super confident. I think after beating Hunter Ace, Justsaiyan has conquered that demon and has given him the strength to take on this title. But let's not waste time. Let's get straight into game number one. Justsaiyan versus Fenomeno. Quest Rogue versus Token Druid. An infamous matchup that's occurred a lot during this weekend. A lot of players have been saying, you know what, they don't think it's as bad for the Quest Rogue as it may seem. I still think it is Token Druid favored, but with Quest Rogue adding that addition of Sonya Shadow Dancer in the hand for Fenomeno. And Fano Knives.
I think Feno is a big part of the reason that people keep adjusting what they think matchups are with Quest Rogue. Honestly, every time you watch him play, the matchup just seems like it's okay, no matter what it is. Maybe Mage. We haven't seen him play a Mage yet.
I think he's been typically banning out the Mage. Doesn't really want to deal with that.
Queuing it up first, meaning he's probably a little bit wary of running it into anything, like trying to set up his counters, which his lineup is very good at doing. It's not just been the Quest Rogue, but this has been the driving force, how well he's been playing this deck behind his success so far. He's been picking up wins where he shouldn't, which makes the rest of his lineup so much more open.
Yeah, and I was listening to Amnesiac when Sam was playing earlier. He said that keeping Whispering Woods against Quest Rogue was just, correct and tempoing out on 4. Because, you really sometimes just can't respect the Fano Knives. There's not something that they would really keep unless they know you keep Whispering Woods onto the play. So not respecting it, because if it just goes off and you have it on turn 4, you just win the game off of that sometimes.
Is that going to be the case, though, here for Saiyan? Given that he's got Soul of the Forest already in his hands to go with it, will that tempt him not to go that wide, or will he just do what Amnesiac tells him to, because Amnesiac's quite good as well?
I think Saiyan's figured out that, this matchup, it is pretty strong, and if this Woods does connect on 4, I wouldn't be surprised if he would just win the game there. We see the Fano Knives is currently in the hand, but I would not be surprised if Justsaiyan just tempos that out. With the Flibidinous Flute, it can give him a little bit of a decision here about whether he wants to tempo out maybe a 3-4, save that for the Arcane Tyrant later on. I would not be surprised to see him go for the Whispering Woods here. He will get severely punished, but sometimes you just got to do it.
And going with the game plan, I mean, if you're going to make a game plan, it's best to stick to it because you've worked it out mathematically, you think it's the right thing to do. But now Feno gets a free turn, not just the fact he can kill off these things, but also he gets to cycle his fan in a convenient manner. Sometimes you just have to sort of throw it away.
Yeah, I like that play a lot from Sam because, you know, Fan of Knives is a 2-of from Feno's deck, and Feno would have to either, you know, keep that in the mulligan, which typically I would say is not, you know, the best of ideas, or he would have to find it just through the course of his draws. And if he doesn't find it playing that, then branching past and pushing that damage would have been game ending right then and there.
Feno is a shadow step away from the most ridiculous hand.
I would say so too. Sonya and Chargers, if he finds a shadow step.
If Valera, just in case, you've got the Novice to get you at least one more card, maybe get a bouncer or two to start completing that quest the other way before you go crazy with your Sonya.
And right now, Saiyan doesn't really have much to work with. He went for the risk of playing that Whispering Woods. I think most of the time he doesn't get punished for that, but since he got punished, he's going to have to be drawing to look for some kind of combination of cards in order to help him out.
Just in case anything goes wrong, the Vanish is there as well. And Feno, he's not there yet, obviously. It's a long way to go. This Druid deck is very resilient. It can beat you even when you think you've got it with no giggling in hand or anything. But as it stands at the moment, Saiyan's going to have 2 or 3 turns of doing very little, and Feno's going to be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, and this matchup's weird, whereas you either go very aggressive from the start and kind of end this game as quickly as possible as the Token Druid, or sometimes you do have to kind of grind this matchup out and try and bait out the vanishes, bait out cards like that in order to, you know, just try and find a slow way to win this game. I'd say the longer the game goes on, the worse it's going to be for Saiyan, but right now, Saiyan does not have much he's working with.
He doesn't have much at all. Feno, on the other hand, has this Sonya turn that's setting up so much good stuff.
Definitely like this, just want to get that value through. It's already 3 deckhands being played. The 4th one in hand does have, you know,
Vanish if
to
he needs to,
Vanish if
with
he
prep.
needs to go ahead and do that. Saiyan picks up a Wild Growth, can go ahead and play out that 3/4 Serenite Chain Gang from Fablidness Fluke. Go ahead and trade off and also have enough mana to be able to coin out that Ultimate Infestation. Strong turn coming up, but that quest is just about complete.
Not such a great turn at the moment for Feno, but he's in such a good position with the quest right on the edge. He can complete it when he wants to, but obviously waiting for better time for his Vanish. There's no hurry. One of the reasons this deck has become so strong is it no longer takes an early beating from a lot of its counterparts, and so you are at luxury to just take your time, put a few taunts down, and complete at your leisure. And with Vanish in hand, that means that he can, you know, coerce Saiyan into playing more stuff on board that maybe he'd want, because if you don't start putting the pressure on very soon, you're not winning this Hearthstone game.
Yeah, Saiyan has to find out that perfect balance between playing pressure onto the board and just making sure to, you know, not overextend too much into Vanish. But it might be good to try and force out that Vanish as quickly as possible and hope, you know, Feno just doesn't have a good response for that. But we can see that Feno has the bouncers. Feno's got the Vanish. He's even got the Valera. It's looking pretty grim for Saiyan at this moment. He's going to have to find some way to sneak in this damage and some way to capitalize on making some kind of board state.
A lot of sums in there. A lot of sort of depressed sounding. A bit of this, bit of that needs to happen.
It's a lot of sums in there, and not many of those sums add up to Saiyan winning this game.
Saiyan is well aware how much trouble he's in. He's seen, obviously, the deck hands, and he knows that the way Feno is progressing is the cautious way, just getting card after card. Mimic Pod's always terrifying because half the deck is so scary with the Mimic Pod. Gets dropped from a lot of lists or getting slowly cut from lists now.
Yeah, Mimic Pod is one of those cards that's been, a lot of players have been cutting it down to that one of. They'd rather have the Fan of Knives. It essentially does a very similar thing in what the Mimic Pod does. And Mimic Pod sometimes just gives you a very clunky card that you can't really do anything with. And here we see Feno's going to be able to complete this quest and prep it out and clear the entire board and develop another minion if he chooses to do so.
But apart from that, it's not looking that good.
It's not looking good for Justsaiyan right now.
Exactly. And again, every time this Rogue deck picks up a win, let's say in an unfavorable, though that looks debatable right now, that is just free chance. Now he's going to have to take on the Rogue, assuming he wins this game. And we've seen him win that matchup. If he wins that, it's a very quick final.
Yeah, this Rogue deck is just absurdly powerful. Quest Rogue, you know, it has gone through 2 renditions of being nerfed, and now it is still arguably one of the most meta-defining decks right now in tournament play.
Yeah, because the best players playing it is terrifying.
Yes,
a lot of the mediocre players actually still struggle to get wins with this in the unfavorables. But
it's very similar to Patron Warrior in its prime. It's just an example to go to. It's not obviously the exact same deck, but Patron Warrior, across the entire field had a very low win rate when played, because if you're giving it to a player who's not as familiar with the deck, they're going to make a whole lot more mistakes, and making a mistake with deck like Quest Rogue costs you the series. But if you play it perfectly and you play it extremely well, it almost wins you series you shouldn't be winning.
Yeah, Feno played against a Rogue on day 1 against Nod Rogue with his Quest Rogue, where he was basically going to lose if he was not one of the best Quest Rogue players out there, but he just used his Glacial Shard very carefully, one time a turn, rather than clearing up a whole board, which he could have done. Just kept a Vicious Fledgling under check, took a load of damage from the other minions, and went on to just, he got a bit lucky as well, and just went on to win that game just by using his health total as the ultimate resource, rather than panicking and shutting down one board, which he could have done a couple of times.
Yeah, health total is a resource. A lot of players neglect to remember that. It's actually one of those important resources. That's why you see classes like Warlock just so powerful in what it can do, especially with that life tap. Hero power cards are sometimes more advantageous than being at a lower life total than your opponent in the early stages of the game.
Another good resource is 4/4 minions for 1 with charge.
That's a pretty powerful resource.
It seems to be, and Saiyan is discovering that right now in case he didn't already know.
I think he knew.
I think he might have had a slight idea.
Now, Saiyan right here is just making this play hoping that he can kind of try and grind out the matchup, maybe commit a Spreading Plague Soul of the Forest with 2 Arcane Tyrants. I would not be surprised to see him potentially hold one of these back in order to, get that Spreading Plague turn, play out that Arcane Tyrant, and then get that Soul of the Forest in hopes of ending the game with double Savage Roar if there is no Vanish.
I would like to see how Feno tries to close this out, because that Vanish you just mentioned, that I cut you off in the middle of your prime, is actually there. So as long as he holds on to that, he should be in a good spot.
Feno is just going to go ahead and push this damage phase. No reason to take these trades. Feno wants to end this game as quickly as Saiyan does.
Yeah, I mean, Feno's down to 2 cards in hand. Valera helps that quite a lot.
Yes.
But the Rogue, the Druid does kill you incredibly fast if you give it a turn. It can still go wrong. It shouldn't go wrong. But Giggling Inventor to slow it down is a thing that Saiyan can do. He does have a lot of buff in hand. If he gets 1 turn to use that buff, the game's over the other way.
And now here's where, Justsaiyan can try and grind out this matchup by, committing these awkward board states that Feno really wants to vanish. And right now, because of the Ultimate Infestation, it gives him enough resources to potentially have a strong chance at winning this game. He is low on life, but Feno might be forced to commit the Vanish here, and with a dead draw like that, he probably needs to commit the Vanish here, and once that's committed, another board state could be made along with Soul of the Forest, and then it's looking dicey for Feno.
Yeah, this game is turning around very quickly. Feno probably 1 good draw away from winning it. Preparation is just not that draw. Or 1 anything there was fine, but not prep.
Yeah, prep was the worst draw off of the deck. Could go for a scale hide play, where you clear up both the Annoytrons because they're going to be one of those pesky minions to deal with if you do Vanish them, and then could go for a prep onto the Vanish in order to get everything back into the hand. We'll heal up quite a bit. We'll go basically back to full life and still have a lot of minions in the hand to try and work with.
I think he's going to keep it. He's trying to add it up whilst he's letting the rope burn while he works this out, but yeah, you're dead to a lot of stuff here.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Feno play out one of these minions just to get it onto the board for that 4/4 aspect, because if a charger is drawn,
Drink with me, friend.
that's most of the time game over at that point.
Yeah.
Saiyan really doesn't have much refill onto the board.
Yeah, the Giggling is not laughing now.
No, it's not. Could go for a Spreading Plague, double Arcane Tyrant, Soul of the Forest. Could try and potentially ignore this Youthful Brewmaster and say, if you have a charger, it's game over. But Saiyan knows that there are 2 vicious scale hides, so even though it's not a charger, it will be able to clear up minions on the board.
And that's not all that matters. Obviously, Feno wants to kill him, but that's all that matters in terms of setting these boards up now for Saiyan.
I mean, maybe considering just Ultimate Infestation, the 4/4 to put that 5/5 on the board. I think that's very risky. I don't think, Saiyan's considering that too much, but it could be a potential line of play. I think that's a bit too risky to go for. It's kind of crazy talk at this point. Wouldn't be surprised to see the ramp just to enable those Arcane Tyrants to become 0 mana, play out that 5-drop, play out 2 4-drops, and hero power face and say, you know what? If you got it, you got it.
And he knows he hasn't got it at the moment, or he just killed him, or virtually killed him last turn with Vanishing Tricks.
And we see that Saiyan is holding on to those Arcane Tyrants because Saiyan feels as if his only way to win this game is by going Spreading Plague, double Arcane Tyrant, Soul of the Forest. So he's hoping Feno will go wide onto the board. So he's making this play to force Feno to put more onto the board. That way he can try and capitalize on that board state and hopefully push through lethal damage on the following turns.
Yep, Feno in a position where he can set up another lethal, but again, the Spreading Plague is a nuisance. That's one of the things that did change with the nerf to Quest Rogue that made it a bit more difficult, at least for a while, until Giggling Inventor turned up. So where Feno needs to consider the rest of his deck as well and not panic about the fact his opponent's at 11 and he can't finish him off.
If Feno's still at 32 health, doesn't really need to address this ghoul at all.
So is he going to just look to go wide, do you think? And
I think he's going to look to play a couple of
not
minions.
wide, but wide enough.
Of course. I think he's going to play one of these scale highs, maybe even bounce one of them back to the hand just to kind of have it back in the hand. The one awkward thing about Feno's hand right now is he has these youthful Brewmasters that he can't just play his 4/4s without sacrificing another 4/4 back to the hand.
Whispering Woods in hand for Saiyan, but he's facing down lethal damage, so he's got to do something about at least one of these minions other than the one he can easily kill.
Could go for a line of play with the Spreading Plague, double Arcane Tyrant, Soul of the Forest. There's also potential to try and get something done with this Whispering Woods. However, I think it's a bit too ambitious. I would like to see Spreading Plague, double Arcane Tyrant, Soul of the Forest, and then value trade probably into that Scale Hide because you don't want to be able to heal that life up, so going face doesn't really matter that much there.
These Brewmasters and Scale Hides alongside Valinor mean that most things that Saiyan do just get wiped out in the short term. He's got maybe 2 turns. He knows that the clock is ticking heavily because Feno's deck is full of things that either stop him dying or kill you.
That's true, but this board state right now, Feno does not have that great of an answer for. Could clean up the majority of it, but even if both of these 4/4s could, I mean, can both of these 4/4s connect face? I actually think that they might be able to because 2 Scale Hides do go into 1. You would generate another Scale Hide, and you would be able to bounce one of the Scale Hides back. I actually think this is lethal from Feno here. I could be wrong on that. Could he have put all of the Scale Hides in? He had access to 4 Scale Hides, right?
Yep.
Because he could play a Scale Hide, bump, bounce the Scale Hide back,
Bump
then
with face.
play 3 Scale Hides, and then push both of those 4/4s face.
That sounds right to me, but
I'm trying to think if there's something I was missing here. I'm pretty sure
the extra Scale Hide's still in hand.
he
It looks
also
like he's got them
has the
through
dagger
anyway.
up. He also has the dagger up, so it doesn't matter here. Could have done that as well. So this is lethal. Maybe Feno was just trying to see what the Minstrel would draw. I completely forgot about the dagger as well. But yeah, Feno's just going to go ahead and take that game.
1-0. Didn't look in doubt for the longest time. Then he just had a couple of duff draws that made it a little bit awkward. But Feno, with the Quest Rogue, getting a win in the final here in Montreal and putting himself in a spot where if he can overturn the odd rogue, he wins.
Yeah, he will have a strong answer for that odd rogue, even if this Quest Rogue does fall. We've seen the Quest Rogue be pretty strong against the odd rogue through the course of the tournament. But even if the Quest Rogue does fall, he'll be able to answer that odd rogue with that odd cost warrior.
And this has been the beauty of this lineup.
Yes, it covers all its bases.
It's been a really solid lineup for Feno, allowing him to play the deck he thinks is the best deck in the game. But when you... So usually you start a lineup with, okay, what's everyone going to bring? What are they going to do? I think Feno may have started with, I want to play Quest Rogue. What lets me do that?
That's a good way to think. I think Quest Rogue was Very powerful lineup. This was the lineup I was actually recommending to a lot of players on the floor. I said, hey, look, I think it's Quest Rogue. I think it's some kind of Warlock. I think it's some kind of Druid. And go ahead and put a
some kind of Druid. You really put yourself out there, don't you, Jay?
I do. Some kind of Druid, some kind of Warlock. Because I think both Zoo and Evenlock have their, you know, respective qualities to each of them. And I think that when you're making the lineup, you want to try and say, all right, if it's Zoolock, I want this kind of Druid. If it's Token Druid, I want Evenlock. You can kind of balance it that way.
Yeah, I'm joking there a bit, but obviously Druid is so versatile. It has Wild Growth and 28 other cards.
Right now, Saiyan's hand, you know, is missing that 1-drop to try and get that damage rolling.
Fledgling is key, though.
And you even see Feno keep that South Sea deckhand just to have an answer for that Vicious Fledgling. It's one of the most important cards to answer in the matchup. You cannot let that bird go unanswered.
Yeah, when people say, oh, the game's won and lost in the mulligan, yeah, you've got to get it right, though.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that you have to consider in all your mulligans, and this is one of them.
Saiyan's just going to be able to hero power here. Doesn't have anything to play in his hand. His hand is not looking that strong right now. This is one of those hands that Quest Rogue is really hoping the Odd Rogue has.
It can develop quickly, though. Obviously, the Fledgling turn will waste a turn on either side, and then Giggling Inventor with Fungal Mancer backup, it can develop into a beating hand. This is kind of what happened against Gallon a minute ago, where his opening couple of cards weren't very good, but it blew up into an amazing mid-game sort of beating stick, and Gallon didn't have all the answers.
And Saiyan's optimally using his dagger here, understanding that, you know, he doesn't have any follow-up turns for the next couple of turns. Most likely will hero power on turn 4 anyways, even if he develops a Vicious Fledgling. So it makes sense to, you know, play out that dagger, go ahead and swing that dagger into face 2 turns just to get that damage, because at the end of the day, the way you win this game is by pushing as much damage as early as possible.
It is, but it also, this is how much information there is now. He knows there's no Thug, does Feno. He knows he can definitely, he's going to remove the Fledgling anyway, which is why Saiyan doesn't mind hitting the 2 to face, because the information given away isn't helpful to Feno. But it does make a big difference. He now knows that he's not under immediate danger.
So there are 2 lines of play here for Justsaiyan. Could go very aggressive with the dagger, just trying to push as much damage face as possible, relying on playing that Giggling Inventor, getting a Fungal Mancer target, and then ending the game with that Leroy. There's also the potential line of play of just trying to make a 4-4 Edwin and stabilizing with that to push the damage. But it is a little risky to Glacial Shard. I think both plays are. The Glacial Shard can obviously go onto the face or that minion. So it's going to be interesting to see what Saiyan decides to do here. He does have the dagger up. That deckhand will push to immediate damage alongside potentially, hopefully, soaking up another dagger hit. Whereas if he, you know, plays very passively and just plays out the Edwin, it could be, you know, just a detriment in the long run. I'm going to go ahead and hold back on that deckhand, though.
Yeah, you can deckhand Fungal Mancer on the same turn later on is the thing he's looking to do. It plays around Vanish a little bit. And Vanish is annoying for the Rogue if it loses a big board, because the minions take time to replay. I keep saying about Mage, where if you give them cards, they just throw them at your face and don't care. Rogue, even though it explodes onto the board, it takes a long time to refuel that board, because the 1-2s become a lot more ineffective as the game goes on. They're only good early on. And so it'll be 1 minion or 2 minions at a time after the Vanish comes down. And Saiyan's just not letting the Vanish be a nuisance to him right now.
And to be honest, sometimes, you know, the Rogue just throws cards face. We saw right there with the Deadly Poison. Saiyan just kept shipping it face. He just played the Deadly Poison and swung face. He understands that he needs to end this game as quickly as possible.
Can't vanish a dagger.
No, you cannot vanish a dagger. That is Hearthstone 101. The Innkeeper taught me that one, Lorinda.
Yeah, I don't listen to him.
I know you don't.
He only tells me things to trick me into beating me. Yeah, exactly. Don't trust him at all. Well, Feno not getting all the tools he needs, but getting bits and pieces that are going to help keep him alive at least.
It's not looking the best for Saiyan right now. We can see that, you know, this Quest Rogue has been putting in so much work through the course of the tournament. And if Saiyan loses this game here, that next matchup is going to be pretty abysmal for him. He does not want to have to play this Hunter into the Quest Rogue.
No, but he wouldn't mind that Hunter if it does go to 1-all. Suddenly it's going to leap into life in this matchup. But yeah, once this Rogue out of the way, this is absolutely key to this entire tournament.
With me, friend.
Gonna force Saiyan to put more stuff down. That's more mana he has to spend should Feno get to cast a Vanish. It's more time Feno has, and it's more close to the quest Feno gets. Second Minstrel, he really wants to get on the board as quickly as possible. Try and find his own giggling to slow things down a bit more. And thin that deck out, get yourself nearer to that Valera.
I think at this moment, Saiyan's just kind of frustrated. He's trying to think about how he wins this game. I mean, he can make a huge Edwin Van Cleef, but that just gets punished by so much if there's a potential Glacial Shard for the future. Vanish as well, just to get these resources back in the hand. I mean, the only thing going for Saiyan right now is that Feno hasn't really been working on his quest progression that much, but I mean, Saiyan doesn't even have a board right now. Feno has 3 minions on the board.
Yeah, he's got board control against Rogue with these minions that, let's face it, are about the least valuable minions there are in Hearthstone in terms of tempo game. Some of them put things back in your hand. What use is that?
The Brotherhood shall.
Looks like we're going to see Saiyan just go all in on that Edwin. I don't blame him. Doesn't really have much else he's working with here. Probably is just going to hope that, you know, Feno has just awkward cards in his hand. We can see that Feno just has the potential tools, has double Shadow Step. After already playing the Scale Hide once, that is already 4 onto the quest completion. And what's better than completing it on something that heals you in the process?
Yeah, it seems good. The Vanish, Saiyan, the way he played the last turn means he can just replay all these minions immediately afterwards. So, but there aren't going to be many minions in a minute.
No, Feno's just trying to figure out how he wants to navigate this.
No Giggling Inventor is inhibitant for Feno here. He wants that little bit of health. I mean, he's on 19. He can gain health with the Scale Hide. We've just discussed that. But he wouldn't mind just sticking a Giggling Inventor in the way, start drawing towards his Valera and getting things tidied up a bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and clean up the board, get that last bouncer back to his hand.
It's not going to be an 8-8 next time.
No, it's not. And Myra's Unstable Element. All right. Now, that's not the best card here. But it's something to work with.
Apparently, it's the only card he's got.
Oh, my gosh.
He's missed everything.
He just drew so many of his heavy cards.
You're supposed to draw, like, damage and Cold Blood and stuff.
Cold Bloods and 1-drops and...
He drew just a bag of spanners.
I mean, at least he has Captain Greenskin.
And he doesn't want to commit to board because of the Scale Hides. He doesn't want to put anything on the board ever again, and that was his plan there, but he might have to.
I mean, Feno's just going to complete this quest with the Scale Hide even without putting it into anything. He just needs to get this quest done.
And if he can just find himself a giggling whatever I just said, inventor, and then just fend off this last blow from Saiyan. Will he find it here? There it is.
It's not looking good for Saiyan right now. Saiyan's going to have to try and find some way to get this damage
Leroy's
through.
6. Deadly Poison's 2 more. SI7's another 2. That's a lot. But then you have to put minions down that Scale Hides on the board. So how can you get rid of the Scale Hide? Feno doesn't have a second one.
He doesn't have a second one, but Saiyan does have access to that Greenskin or that Vile Spine. And I'm actually curious if maybe Feno got a little happy there and didn't actually bounce the Scale Hide back. And
that feels wrong.
That
Because
feels
he wants
wrong
to save
to me
it for
as
the giggling, but Saiyan will save the SI maybe. No, he's just going to finish things off now. Take down the Scale Hide.
Oh, with this, he doesn't have an answer to the Scale Hide, though. He's going to let the Scale Hide live.
He's assuming there's another one because Feno left it on the board, I think.
I think so as well.
Otherwise, why would you leave it up?
I'm not quite sure, but if Saiyan had answered that, I'm curious if there was some kind of way that, you know, he kind of capitalized on it. But I think Saiyan understands that even if, you know, he can't answer this, he needs to put some kind of large threat on the board, and the largest minion he can put right now is that Edwin Van Cleef. Saiyan does know that there's a Youthful Brewmaster in the hand, though.
So he chose to leave it up.
Yeah, I'm a little curious about leaving that Scale Hide up from Saiyan's part, and I'm a little curious from leaving that Scale Hide up from Fenomeno's part. I think that's something to look back on.
Drink with me, friend.
I would say in Saiyan's position, you're probably assuming that he does have that second Scale Hide. Or he didn't have Shadow Step.
Yeah. Saiyan, yeah.
I think Saiyan looked a little surprised to see that Shadow Step. This quest is complete, and there's a prep. The prep was drawn.
Wow. And 4 more health goes to 20. Is it enough?
Trying to think. There is the Leroy
8,
Jenkins.
9.
4 health is going to be healed
Mancer's
here.
available.
Then he's going to take
available.
1.
Only has 9 mana. So he needs 11 from hand.
I think he's 1 off right now. I'm pretty sure he's 1 off. He can go Leroy, Dagger, Deadly Poison. If he does that, that's 10 damage right there. This Edwin is an 8/8. That's 18 damage.
If he leaves the scale hide up, it gets 4 back, goes to 5. So he's not going to leave that up.
I don't think he can afford to.
He can scale hide one of the Annoyatrons next turn if he wants to.
The question is, does he take this value trade or not? I think you kind of have to. I think you have to take this hit.
Why do you like the hit?
Because you want this Vile Spine on the board in order to be able to deal with Giggling Inventor. If there's no Giggling Inventor or Vanish, you win. If there is Giggling Inventor, you need that 3/4 to be able to be put into one of the Giggling Inventor Annoyatrons. But there's 2 Giggling Inventors, but he just doesn't snap play both.
Oh, he picks.
Oh, but he picks up Glacial
the
Shard.
Glacial Shard.
I'm wondering, Feno rushed this a little bit too much. Because if he did not pick up that Glacial Shard, he would have died.
That's insane.
Because the Vile Spine would have been able to go into one, then Leroy Vile Spine would have cleared off the other one, and then Edwin would have been able to connect face.
Did he have any other play, though?
He could have just double Giggling it. Oh, no, he's
No,
on
he has
9
9, he has
mana.
9,
Oh,
so
my
yeah.
gosh. So he had to.
So he instantly went for the
had to pick up
Novice.
that Glacial Shard. Or Saiyan had this game.
Saiyan trying to find out if he can force anything through. You've got Leroy, you've got Fungal Mancers, you've got a Vile Spine that can take out one Annoyatron in a clean hit.
But even if
You can get the Leroy to face, but that's all. And then you die. Is there any trades that can help him?
I'm trying to
No.
think. I mean, there's Fungal Mancer onto both minions. There's Vile Spine onto one of the Annoyatrons.
That Glacial Shard has done a rather good job there.
And I'm pretty sure Saiyan is taking at least 3 fatigue damage on the follow-up.
I think it is 3.
He takes 3.
And he's taking 4 from running his own face into a minion.
I believe that's...
Perhaps it's only 2 then.
It may only be 2. I think with this play, though, it is 4. Or 3. Oh, it's 4. Yep.
Okay.
There's not much Saiyan could do there. I think it was 3 or 4. I couldn't remember off the top of my head.
It was 4, and Feno is 2-0 ahead and has Quest Rogue left to beat this Hunter still.
I just assumed both players were on 10 mana because
Yeah.
the game felt like it was going on for quite some time.
It's of course how early Saiyan realized that he couldn't get it done, and we just went for that
Yes.
Myra's. It just drew a bag of gubbins. It just drew nothing apart from like the bare minimum that it can get. He forced down that Edwin to give himself a chance.
Feno would have died if it wasn't for that Novice Engineer and a Glacial Shard.
Glacial Shard has been really good to Feno in this tournament, but he had drawn a lot of cards out of that deck.
He had.
Thinned it down a long way, and you know, sometimes you do pick things up. You can pick up Valera, would probably have been good there too. Wow, and you can see Saiyan now is like, what do I do? I got to queue Hunter against this Quest Rogue deck.
I think Saiyan has to win this pretty unfavorable matchup, and if he can win this,
Yeah, then it's
he
game
might
on.
be able to get there.
Then
I think
it's game on.
it's a competition then, but Saiyan has to win this matchup. I mean, of course, if he loses, he's out.
Yeah, that's how losing works.
That's how losing works.
Actually, you're not out. You sort of came second.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But is
Top
that good
4
enough for
twice,
Saiyan?
then this. And
Keeping the play dead, I think that's the start. I think this is one of the starts that Saiyan should be looking for right now. Has that Devil Sword, has that play dead, has that Prince Kelseth to, you know, buff his minions up a little bit. Feno's only going to keep one of the Shadow Steps, needs to find something else. Feno's hand right now isn't looking too strong.
Yeah, and if he does lose this, like we say, it does turn against him a little bit.
Oh, but that's a Sonya.
Sonya's so good. Then you just need any charger or basically any card in your deck, and you're doing well. He's got the Shadow Step for the Sonya, so a charger would just be insanely strong. Shadow Step your Sonya back and just set up for completing a nice early quest.
It's pretty common play on 3 is just to go ahead and play out that Sonya and then Shadow Step it back.
And then wait.
Oh, another Glacial Shard. That was the MVP of last game.
It sure was. Took his sweet time.
I almost wouldn't be surprised to see Saiyan go for a coin Devilsaur Egg here. The one thing Saiyan needs to do is put on pressure, and you know the Prince Cal set is nice and all, but getting that 5/5 down a turn earlier than he might be able to. There's also the potential for, you know, Prince Kelset now and then going Devilsaur coin out the play dead. And now that I've said that,
yeah,
there was no reason to coin out the egg. I just wanted to look cute for a second.
You look cute all the time, Jay.
Yeah, I could just go ahead and play out the Devilsaur Egg and coin out the play dead next turn anyways. There's no real reason to coin it out now.
Meanwhile, Feno has found the charge minion we were talking about.
Feno found that charger.
That puts him in such a great spot for completing quests at his leisure in a couple of turns' time.
Ooh,
but the damage is stacking. And some of these things have more than 4 health.
Houndmaster Shaw. I like that play from Saiyan, taking a little bit of a risk. Not putting enough pressure on, but... And another deckhand. This actually just... You can just kill off the Shaw.
Yeah, the second one helps you kill off the Shaw. You get two attack twice.
Saiyan just is in disbelief right now.
Yeah, and this is a different emotion to the time he lost in Italy to Huntrace, which was like, what do I have to do? This is just despair that there was nothing I could do in this game of Hearthstone, but it's not over yet. And it looks over because the quest is going to be complete next turn.
Saiyan has made it this far in the tournament and is just in disbelief right now at what is happening.
It's the first time in the whole tournament, and we've seen quite a bit of him, that I've seen him lose any focus at all. He's trying to muster up his reserves to have a bit more focus left, but that last turn broke him, I think.
This is just heartbreaking for Saiyan right now, but Feno just capitalizing on it.
And I'm looking at Feno, and he's
trying
to stay focused himself.
He's trying to.
Like, all tournament, he's been absolutely focused. He's just starting to, like, could this be it? Could this be it? Could this be it? Don't mess up, Feno. That's how he's thinking in his head. He's not thinking about Hearthstone. He's just thinking all sorts of stupid things right now.
Feno has come to the conclusion that he thinks this hand is a winning hand, and he is about to be the champion. He's just trying not to mess up at this point.
And that is sometimes when you do mess up. Sometimes when all you think about is not messing up, you're not on autopilot anymore, and you're starting to play weird things. You start doing silly stuff, you outthink yourself. Don't think that's going to happen here, but wow.
I mean, this is quest complete.
It is quest complete, but there's not much backup. I mean, there soon will be. That's how this deck works. Novice Engineer, obviously a nice pickup. If he picks up a couple of preparations in a row or that sort of card, it can go wrong, but Feno does look like he's going to get this done.
Not sure just yet, though. I mean, if Feno does whiff for a couple of turns.
Yeah, Saiyan's got a nice hand for developing a very quick attack on board.
Could just go ahead and swing the spider face.
Start making some 5/5s. That's what people do wrong against this deck sometimes. You've got a bit of time. 5/5s are bigger than 4/4s.
You're not wrong. I have heard that before. I have heard 5/5s are bigger than 4/4s.
They used to be the same size, but then they nerfed one of the 5/5s.
I think this is the only play from Saiyan right here. Just he cleans up both. I think Saiyan has to hope that Feno's draws are... I don't know what they could be at this moment.
Well, Saiyan has got the Hunter Hero power. He has got a lot of stuff about to come out this cube. There is no Vanish at the moment. Vanish would seal it, but for now, Feno has just got to slowly develop his 4/4 board. That helps a lot as well.
That will help. I will say, though, with this Terra Scale Stalker, can put a lot of pressure on with the Spider Bombs. The Spider Bombs will be able to clear up some of the minions that Feno plays.
Like I say, and I was wording it a bit silly, but 5/5s being bigger than 4/4s is a big deal right now.
King Crush isn't the most impactful. Can go ahead and Hunter's Mark one of those minions, take a value trade, play out the egg. I wouldn't be surprised to see the egg come out where the Terrascale Stalker did, but it's a close call. I think the egg puts on more pressure if you copy it.
Yeah, the cube can kill itself as well, so that's why it's such a close call. But Saiyan thinks this is a big enough board to do things. Feno has very few cards to work with, so Saiyan's going to make him just get rid of this as quickly as he can. It's definitely not over.
Yeah, this game's actually not over. I know Saiyan just had his hand in his heads earlier. Feno could whiff his next couple of draws. Preparation is one of those whiffs.
Number one. And suddenly he's facing down 12 damage plus a ping is 14. There's King Crush the turn after. That is super lethal. That'd be lethal through the 22.
He will gain 5 armor from the Valera and will be able to stealth out for just a turn. Deathstalker Rexar gives him a bit of value.
But value isn't what he needs against this
But
right
all
now.
he needs is just something large to be able to rush in again. I mean, he has King Crush. I wouldn't be surprised to see the hero power come out here and then maybe a play on Deathstalker Rexar, but that's a gutsy call. Because if you get rid of this Hunter hero power and you needed 2 damage, I think he's going to do it.
And he's going to make a beast immediately. Not even take the 2 damage. He feels this board sometimes just wins. So let's find the backup plan right now.
There's a life drinker. That does damage. Can even take the life still if he feels like he needs the life.
Does he want a cheap life steal, life damage, or does he want to?
I think he wants something as cheap as possible to be able to play it. Shadow Step is another whiff. From what looked like just an impossible series of draws to lose, Saiyan is slowly crawling back into this one.
I think he's crawled. I think he's almost there.
And if there's no Vanish picked up, this board is just so intimidating. I don't know if there's much he can do.
Deck's been good to Feno over this tournament. He's made the most of everything he can. But a Vanish off the top here would be a game-changing card.
And then a Bloat Bat with Poisonous. He could just play this to stop the Scale Hide, be able to kill it off and kill off literally anything else while protecting his own board if he chooses to do so this turn, or could save it for later on.
Life Drinker still does the damage because it's not directly targeted, and he plays this because if there's a Vanish, then he gets to do it again. That's not a Vanish.
Brewmaster is not a Vanish. He'll be able to heal a lot, but I mean, he can't value trade into these spiders because it will just clear it off.
Trying to buy himself one more turn, but we can see the Crushmeister.
King Crush is waiting around the corner.
It's escaped from Muzzy World, and it is on the way.
I think escape from Muzzy World is on the way. Saiyan, I think, is in. He started off in disbelief, and now
he's
a legitimate
despair a minute
chance.
ago. Feno, you can see, thought he'd probably won it, was trying to stay focused. Saiyan, I don't know, if that had been ladder, I think bottom right was coming. But he has managed to concoct this massive board. No Vanish has appeared for Feno when he needed it most.
I'm trying to think if there's any way Feno can get himself out of this situation.
He could buy a turn, maybe, if he gets enough health gained. Oof.
This is absurd. King Crush gonna be able to come down. Has to take both of those trades just to stay alive.
So King Crush is going to be a lot.
A lot is a good way to put it, and even if there's a Vanish from the other side,
save you from King Crush.
Exactly, the King Crush would just come back to the hand. I wouldn't be surprised to see Saiyan just go for that King Crush. Might as well push these minions
Yeah, while
first.
he's thinking, he's just pressing these buttons that he knows he's going to do.
I definitely like the King Crush here. Even if Vanish comes out, can go ahead and replay that King Crush in order to end this game.
What a final we got here, Jay.
Oh, he's not going to go for the King Crush. He's going to try and create another beast. Crackling Razor Maw.
Poisonous is pretty nice.
I mean, Catherine is also a very strong play onto the board. Saiyan knows that there's no Vanish.
But it does give the Vanishes an out.
It does, but it also means that, you know, Saiyan's probably thinking, you know, there's no Vanish right now. He might be thinking if there's a combination of, say, the second Scale Hide or something like that. But right now, the most Feno can do is play those Wax Elementals, but they're just going to get ate up by the spiders. And King Crush is going to come through to finish this game. Saiyan has turned it around.
That is insane. He did have a lot of the tools, but it looked like they were going to be too slow when Feno completed so quickly, but that left Feno with very few cards in hand. The Hunter minions are annoying shapes and sizes for 4/4s to deal with, especially when they blow up and kill your minion. Yeah, option to make the 5/5s earlier as well, but it's turned out that this was the right way to do it. These spider bombs have just controlled the board for the longest time.
I think Feno's trying to find a way to just put as many minions onto the board as possible to decrease the odds of the spider bomb getting through. Feno doesn't know that there's a King Crush in the hand. We can see that. And Saiyan has clutched this game out.
Hold the press. The final has started again. Feno found himself on the edge of winning the toss-up, and now he's got to keep himself together. The Crush Daddy makes it 2-1. And the Montreal final, it looked like it might be a bit of a pushover when the Odd Road got beaten, is well and truly back on with this Hunter deck that Koro was saying that how Amnesia was talking about how good that class has been for them.
I'm just
Jay speechless, this never happens.
I'm in disbelief right now. I thought that series was essentially over, and Saiyan thought the series was essentially over.
I think Feno kind of did as well.
I think Feno thought the series, I think everyone at home thought the series was over.
That's because we told him it was. It's our fault.
It definitely looked like the series was over. You could see just the disbelief on Saiyan's face, and you could see the confidence on Feno's. But now we've got a match on our hands.
Yep, and this Hunter, Rexar's a big deal in the next 2 games.
Rexar will be a huge deal in the Warrior matchup. Sometimes that's the only card that matters. I wouldn't be surprised if Feno just tries to queue up this Warlock just to get this win out of the way. I think Warlock's going to have the better chance, but that's still, you know, a pretty close matchup overall. I think it is Warlock favored.
I think he'll queue the one that involves the least thinking, honestly. I think he'll try and save his brain in case he goes to game 5, give himself a chance to settle back down. He was trying really hard to stay focused. You can see him thinking, I think I've won this, but I need to stay focused.
I think so as well.
He's wrestling himself, and I think he'll wrestle himself back into a good shape, but maybe queue up the more straightforward matchup first.
And definitely think we're going to see the Warlock come out here against Saiyan on the Hunter. It's a very close matchup indeed. If Feno can get that early Mountain Giant down on the board, Saiyan doesn't quite have that strong answer in the form of Spider Bomb or Hunter's Mark.
He has gone for that Warlock.
Not the strongest of hands for Feno from the start. Getting Greymane is not something you want to see. Wouldn't be surprised to see Saiyan keep the Devilsaur Egg and maybe even the Terra Scale Stalker to curve out. No reason for the Candle Shot unless it's coupled with a Hunter's Mark to answer a Mountain Giant.
Yeah. So Saiyan should be able to establish some sort of decent board. What can Feno do about it? He's going to have a good few taps to try and build up this massive hand. Find some better cards to play.
Well, there's the Candle Shot there. I think Saiyan's going to hold on to it. Doesn't want to, you know, forfeit it over to the Acidic Swamp Ooze. But, you know, sometimes you need to play it there. If you don't play it there, you don't get that mana-efficient hero power, and Saiyan's going to immediately be punished by this Acidic Swamp Ooze.
Guess how many Giants I've got?
How many?
Well, I don't know, but I've just coined a 2-drop. So probably not many.
I think that's what that is indicating to Saiyan, so I don't think Saiyan is that concerned with it. Of course, can play the egg, but it looks like Feno's just going for a Zulok approach of just playing out his minions, trying to push as much early pressure as possible, not allow Saiyan the time to kind of set up those plays. Wouldn't even be surprised to see a potential trade into this egg.
And you do see Hunter playing this very slowly, often not using its hero power just to keep the Warlock in check, so it does play the defensive role early.
Ooh, it looks like, you know, looks like Feno's not going to respect the egg there.
Have you noticed
Scale Stalker's going to come down.
Notice the speed of play?
Yeah, I know Feno has picked up his pace.
And Saiyan's copied it.
They're both playing extremely
Feno's
fast.
very slightly tilted, playing very quickly, and Saiyan has fallen into that pattern of play, and suddenly two of the slower players in the room off just for 3 turns there, and they were straightforward turns in fairness, but they're playing lightning pace.
Yeah, their hearts are racing right now. They were not expecting the last series to go how it was. Feno is just frustrated that he couldn't get that quick 3-0 and become the champion, and Saiyan is just in disbelief at what is going on right now.
Again, there's been a lot of Saiyan disbelief, but he's still hanging in this final, but he's being hit by a homunculus, a protector, and an ooze that he refused to give taunt, so it just stays protected one more turn.
And look at how much pressure Saiyan has now put on just because Feno did not respect the egg. A lot of times, you know, sometimes you can't afford to respect the egg. It's much better, and I think that was the case in this matchup. But we can see here Saiyan had the cards to capitalize on this Devilsaur egg.
But look at his health total.
He's at 15 right now.
There's a Hellfire in Feno's hand. Saiyan's going to stabilize on board very soon, but he's taking so much.
He's taking so much, but Feno doesn't have follow-up right now. He's got 2 awkward 6-drops and a Mountain Giant that he just cannot cast next turn.
Yeah, he needs to start thinking about 2 turns ahead. How do I make a good defile? Spellbreaker.
Spellbreaker's
going to slow down a lot of stuff.
It will slow down the Devilsaur egg.
And now Feno needs to slow it down, have a think, and work out what his game plan is to do this last 15 points of damage.
I think so as well. There's a Hooked Reaver, so if Saiyan does get a little bit of pressure on,
because you may have to revert to trying to get another board here. This board doesn't get you there.
And Saiyan's teching in that mind control tech. Feno's going to be very conscious of that, trying not to play around that. I mean, obviously, with this hand right now, he won't be able to extend into it. But if he sees Saiyan hold onto that card for quite some time, he might start to get a read on what it could be.
Go for the Spellbreaker now means that the cube would be really powerful.
Yeah, there would be nothing to answer the cube, which is very important in this matchup to get a cube onto a very significant minion like this Devilsaur, especially if the Devilsaur can take a value trade. It'll be interesting to see how Feno decides to respond to this. Does he just keep pushing this damage face, or does he respect the board? He's just trying to end this game.
One thing about the cube here, it is kind of slow, but now look at the trades available for Saiyan.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see 2 value trades come out and then the Carnivorous Cube be put onto the Devilsaur.
They do allow a pretty tasty defile if you make those value trades.
It does. It also makes the Dread Infernal have a bit of value. Could take a value trade onto, say, just the Sun Fury Protector with the Devilsaur and then put the Wolf into the Spellbreaker. Maybe even just play out the Witchwood Grizzly and kind of accept that, you know,
sometimes 3-6 will do, yeah.
Don't really want to commit the cube yet, especially without an enabler in order to go really wide on the board. And it looks like Saiyan's getting his aggressive back. Just wants to push that
around
damage.
defile, yeah. The trades ruin defile a little bit.
I mean, Saiyan doesn't have much, and he's going to need to end this game too.
And the Hunter's Mark gave him the backup plan of I'm not caring about the Giant.
Yeah, he will have an answer for the Giant.
Go away, Keleseth, you're not wanted for once.
I think Saiyan would much rather had a Katharina for the following turn. Can answer that Giant. Could, you know, disrespect the Giant by going face.
Can't answer a Hooked Reaver with a Giant, though. That would feel a bit awkward. Only answer one of those things.
Saiyan's just got to be very mindful and careful of what he wants to cube and how he wants to allocate this damage.
And on the other side, Feno needs to think about his Sun Fury Protector. What role does that have in this game? Is it going to protect something big, or is it just going to put something big in the way?
What to do?
Crucial, crucial turn here for Saiyan. Whatever he chooses here, I know that's how each turn works, but this particular one is a divergent path turn. How does he want to approach winning this game of Hearthstone?
This is either a disrespect to the Giant saying, I need to end this game in the next turn, or this is saying, I can win the board back. Looks like Saiyan's going to start with the Prince Keleseth, take one of the value trades.
Yes.
Even Carnivorous Cube, that Devilsaur. He's even going to respect the Hooked Reaver. That's a lot of respect right there.
You seen the Spellbreaker? There's only one in Feno's deck. Just going to find this?
Yes, only one Spellbreaker in Feno's deck. So this cube will summon 2 5/5s. There's nothing stopping it from doing that.
And Feno has no obvious good setup here.
I mean, Feno just has a very clunky hand right now.
So he's going to try and improve it, turn 7 things, and that's a lovely pickup with a Sunfield Protector. Now he can defend his Giant if he wants to, or both. But yeah, he's going to defend the Giant. That was a decision I was talking about earlier that might come up. And now that Giant's just got free reign to go face.
Oh, but with the flanking strike picked up, that's going to give him an answer for both of those minions. Can even preserve the cube. Oh, that flanking strike was such a great straw. Allows him to answer both. Gonna be curious if he even fits in a hero power if he tempos out this mind control tech.
But this is it for Saiyan. He's got to get it done now because he is out of cards, he's out of resources, and Feno, although his hand is clunky, has a lot going on. He has a lot more going on now.
Yeah, that bone mare draw, I think Feno needs to take his time here. Can't just snap to decisions.
He's still playing a bit quicker than I like to see him play. I made a big point this tournament talking about how he slowed himself down and stuff, but this game he's played rapidly.
Deathstalker Rexar off the top. That's going to allow him to answer both of the minions, start to get that Build-A-Beast hero power going while having 2 5/5s. Feno's in disbelief right now.
He's won this tournament twice already, and he's going to go to game 5 most likely. Feno's face.
Feno's just in disbelief. Tundra Rhino Giant Watch just to answer something. He's going to have 2 5/5s on the board. Answers the full board. Feno went for the Bone Mare play to set up lethal with the Hellfire.
Oh my. With your opponent with no cards in hand, and suddenly Saiyan's got just great beasts. Feno.
That was the draw of Saiyan's life right there.
He has a clear if he wants it, but it's horrible. Hellfire Double Defile does clear the board. It's just unpleasant, and he might not have to do that.
I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe the Life Attack come out, the Vulgar Homunculus, and the Hooked Reaver just to try and sustain. But this poisonous Tundra Rhino
is very poisonous.
It's very poisonous indeed. Does not get that value trade into the Hooked Reaver, but does clear it up to push one of these 5/5s face.
Oh, no.
All right, start off with the
Looks good, but it's not
Build-A-Beast.
actually going to do that much.
Nesting Rock is a huge taunt to put in the way. Alongside a vicious Scale Hide.
And Lifesteal will get him to safety mode so his Rexar can just make more beasts if needed. And Feno's going to have no realistic way of getting back into this. Maybe he can find a Gul'dan.
I honestly
survive long enough to make it work.
He needs to find that soon. I don't even know if that's enough at this point.
This rock is absolutely solid.
This is an absurd Zombies right now. You can go ahead and take a value trade into the Hooked Reaver, kill off the entire board, gain 5 life while still having just a massive threat onto the board.
And I don't think anyone from the non-host continent has ever won a DreamHack. That could be wrong, but I remember talking about Muzzy at DreamHack Summer having a great run, coming all the way from America to Sweden to nearly, well, to have a good run at least. Feno has the chance to go further than that and just win DreamHack. And twice now, he thought he'd done it.
Not even double Hellfire clears this board. Feno went twice from being 1 play away from being the Montreal champion to now going to game 5. 1 play away, Lorinda. 2 times.
And one of those was a top deck. One of them was a little bit less straightforward because he drew just badly himself. But one of these was just that Rexar off the top. We said Rexar would be important. I don't think we realized how important it might turn out to be.
I mean, doesn't have quite lethal just yet. I believe that Tundra Rhino only has 4 attack.
But he's stabilizing. The health total's going back up and Feno's running out of things to do to him.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Jeweled Macaw come out with possibly the Stubborn Gastropod. You can play that. You can go ahead and do the Spider Bomb plus Play Dead. Push that minion face. This is a pretty strong turn. Or could take the value trade into the Plated Beetle just to kind of really solidify the board at this moment.
Yeah, and it's Saiyan having another thing about what's my whole plan, not how do I play this turn in particular. Just now he's the one thinking what can go wrong. What do I do?
Saiyan right now has been given a new life with this game and is trying to make sure he doesn't throw it away.
Feno's hand gestures there, just like, well, what can I do?
I don't think that's enough. Can clear off the board, but this Tundra Rhino will give any beast charge. Cannot cast any of the Hellfires. The Hooked Reaver's a large taunt, but that Tundra Rhino has poisonous. And there's also the Spider Bomb with the play dead. This is...
It's just going to go to game 5, Jay.
Wow.
I wish you could see Jay's face right now. It's like, what has happened here?
Wow. just in disbelief right now. This game was over 2 times for Feno.
We're not the only ones in disbelief. I think both players are in disbelief at how this finally is panning out.
I just remember seeing Saiyan's face after the double deckhand came out. He just leaned back into his chair.
Yeah, that was over.
Said, what the hell is going on?
It was all he could do,
not
to bottom right, I think. It's just like, this is over. And he found a way to generate a big board. Feno whiffed a couple of times on the preparations of Shadow Steps, and suddenly Saiyan had a very quick kill. And in this game, Saiyan was just dead. Feno had set up the lethal, and Saiyan just top decked the Vexar. However,
there could be
as it stands at the moment, yeah, Feno's found a way to at least keep the game alive, but that's all it is. He gets a Scale Hide.
He gets a Cave Hydra Scale Hide. Can just go Spider Bomb into Play Dead. I think he was looking for any kind of charger there, because if he does find it, he just wins the game on the spot with that. Feno needs to find Gul'dan this turn to even have a chance at this game.
Yeah. And then after that, worry about how on earth you're going to save all these zombies from doing things.
Spellstone keeps
him alive. Yeah.
Another turn.
The trouble is, each turn the Hunter gets, it gets stronger. And each turn the Warlock gets, it tends to get weaker. It's lost its hero power.
And he would love to play the Dread Infernal just to gain that extra life. But he can't play it in Spellstone, the Spider Bomb, because it will just kill it off.
It's not funny, but it's funny.
It's so cruel.
That's a good word for it.
I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, Geist Spellstone. Or Spellstone Geist. I think that has to be, you know, the play. Cannot play that Dread Infernal into the Spellstone. Gen Greymane as well. Gen Greymane does contest the minion on board a little bit better.
Feno, for the first time this tournament, he hasn't faced a loss this tournament. He's won every single match through the switch. To this point, he is 12-0.
Crackling Razor Maw.
He's just feeling it. For the first time, Feno is showing signs of the pressure.
Crackling Razor Maw needs +3 attacker. He gets it.
And you hear the crowd going crazy there. Thanks, crowd.
The crowd's insane out there. They are really looking forward to this game 5.
Nicely seated in the Olympic Stadium here in Montreal.
I couldn't think of a better setting, Lorinda.
Luxurious.
I'm just looking up right now in disbelief. Feno is looking down in disbelief, and these players are going to game number 5, where Justsaiyan has his Death Rattle Hunter against Feno's Odd Warrior. And this matchup is notoriously bad for the Odd Control Warrior.
Yeah, and if you tuned in and didn't know the score, what was happening, you'd think one of these players was like 7-0 down. Because Feno is really feeling it out there. And Saiyan was for a while, and I think he still is, because now he's got the nerves as well of maybe winning this.
And there you go, shake of the hand, noticing it's going to game number 5. Both these players visibly stressed. I remember talking to Feno before he even started this game. He said, I don't think I can handle this loss right now.
When he won his semi-final, he was out there saying, like, and obviously he doesn't mean these word for word. He's like, almost, I wish I hadn't won, because now I've got to play the final, and I might lose. It's like he didn't want to lose the final more than he didn't want to lose the semi-final. It was really weird how his emotions were like
you make it
taking over. But this is showing as well, we've talked about these two great players all season. And we always talk about first time on camera's a bit nervous. This is their first time in finals. And you can tell they're not their normal selves for both of them.
You know, they really aren't. Saiyan is very visibly stressed. So is Feno. Both of these players just really want this just as much as the other. They've both been through the top 16. They've both been to the top 8.
And each time you get there, you think maybe it's my last chance. That's just how you feel. It won't be. They'll both be back in finals and they'll both win a tour stop at some point. But one of them might have to wait a year. Who knows? If you lose this one, when's your next chance going to be?
This is the moment that makes and breaks the best players in the world.
It looks like it's breaking them both right now.
I think it is.
But they've got to go through one more game and it will be a long one. Rexar has not been found for Justsaiyan.
And you see there, he could tracking to find the Rexar, but what he's going to do is he's going to hold onto this tracking for the when he finds the Rexar, he will not be further into fatigue, and he can win the game that way.
Tracking is the worst card in his deck right now. You want as many cards as you can get from that Rexar, because it is close. Even though it's massively favored, it's still close in terms of if you give up Rexar cards, it can cost you the game.
I mean, there still are those very obnoxious Death Battle minions that Feno's going to have to deal with. These picks are not the greatest. I think Lord of the Arena is the most pressure minion that could be had.
Yeah, and he probably wants a bit of pressure. It's a bit grim, but he'll hang around. It squares up so badly to 5/5s.
It really does. I think you have to take it. Oh, it looks like Feno's just going to take for some kind of on-curve play.
Yeah, just something to do.
Play dead, a very powerful card in this matchup. If you do Carnivorous Cube into something and do hit that play dead, it can spell a lot of trouble for your opponent.
But Saiyan's hand is as bad as it could be. I mean, the deck doesn't have horrendous draws. It's just how it's built to get decent draws. But because he can't tracking because of the Rexar interactions, he can't find the things he needs to do.
I will say, though, that if you can't afford to have a bad hand, it is this matchup.
Yeah, you've got some turns.
Because the Odd Warrior is not going to be pressuring you like most of these other decks.
And, okay, that deals with a 3/6, but it's just another whiff from the cards he's looking for. So let's have a look at what Feno's plan is going to be. He has that Brawl. Saiyan has played around Brawls a lot, but you can't with this deck too much. You have to put a lot of stuff down.
What to do?
Yeah, Saiyan's got to be very conscious of playing around Brawl and MC Tech. Those are two of the cards that, you know, if he's not careful about, he can lose to those cards on the spot. Looks like Saiyan's just going to try and get rid of cards from his hand, play out that Zilliax, maybe take a trade or bump into that Hatchling. Looks like he's going to commit the Hunter's Mark as well.
Yeah,
There's not many targets for the Hunter's Mark to hit in this matchup.
Yeah, and you've been saying he has time, but he doesn't have time if he lets Feno hit him for 6 or 7 a couple of times. So just shoring up this board to stop that from being a thing. Zelina, that makes things exciting.
Yeah, Zelina is a very powerful card in a lot of these control matchups. It just gives you gas that otherwise you shouldn't have access to.
Saiyan's hand gives me gas.
What?
It's an awful hand. So, Feno firing the bombs out there and clearing as much as he could, knowing that his 6 health minion was probably safe.
Prince Skeliseth, not the most important card in this matchup, and it is a little bit late. Really don't care about that buff onto the minions. Sure, it's great, it's nice, but it's no Deathstalker Rexar.
He wants something he can cube, or he wants something that's called Rexar. And now he's being forced to cube the Zilliax just to be able to do something, to be able to use all these activators. A few Zilliaxes is some pressure, but it's not what he's looking for. He's just buying time by hanging in there.
And then Carnivorous Cube without an Ironbeak Owl currently in the hand is very awkward to deal with. I mean, it will take a value trade. Feno can kind of try to answer it, but if it just sits on the board, it can take those value trades, keep pushing that forward damage. Feno's gonna be looking for something to try and help answer it. Dr. Boom is a good draw.
Yep, first one to your Death Knight. Yours is worse than theirs, but it gives you something to do, gives you a chance of getting delivery drone is what I always talk about, particularly here. Maybe get yourself some minions that actually do something.
Yeah, but you also could get Kaboom over and over again. And even the 7 armor, although it is powerful in its own right, sometimes it doesn't do enough. We see there Saiyan extending into the mind control tech. Curious
yeah, with
if
2
this is
charge
just a bait.
minions as well. Or whatever, rush minions. Same thing in this situation.
I'm not quite sure.
Into this locator.
Doesn't get too punished there. I wonder if that was more of a bait from Saiyan trying to
Yeah, maybe.
commit to something else. He didn't have to play that Prince Kaliseth.
Yeah, it's weird. It's one of the few decks where that is a thing you can say.
I know, right? He
It's like-
didn't have to play that Prince
Yeah,
Kaliseth.
you either establish a board or you don't. It's nice to have 1/4 eggs that can actually kill themselves, but
Saiyan needs that Rexar, and he needs it quick. He can survive for quite some time off of the draws he's having. But if he doesn't pick up the most important card this matchup sometime soon,
I mean, yeah, you're not playing tracking because you want more draws from your Rexar, but that backfires massively if Rexar's in the bottom 10 cards of your deck.
I mean, I think sometimes it's the risk you have to take.
I think he's doing the right thing. I just feel
I
that
agree.
we're just watching this hand do nothing right now.
I mean, there are a lot of impactful draws. There are the King Crush, the Katharina, just cards and draws like that. Still even, you know, the Devilsaur Egg.
With that in mind, when will Feno be looking to play Dr. Boom? Because he's never going to catch Rexar. He knows that Saiyan's hand is probably full of value right now. Just because, yeah, Saiyan's not playing anything, therefore they're high-cost minions, therefore they're lacking one piece of synergy. Imagine if he'd stolen that cube.
That would have been pretty bad for Saiyan there. Saiyan just taking the value route, just wants to go ahead and, you know, clean up the board as much as possible. If he finds that Rexar, he's in a very good spot. But Dr. Boom, I think he wants to play sooner rather than later.
You want as many turns as possible.
You want as many turns as possible, but another thing that Dr. Boom adds is it allows you to play your mechs, take some value trades, discover mechs, and then constantly put pressure onto the board.
And also, you're not under much pressure right now, so it's a good
Yes.
opportunity to slide Boom out there.
I would say, though, if it weren't for this Direhorn Matriarch, it might be a snap Dr. Boom this turn. But Direhorn Matriarch is a strong consideration. It is a large, large minion.
It is, but he'll still be a large minion next turn. And Dr. Boom will maybe
true.
have trouble if the cube bumps into the Matriarch, especially if there's a Hunter's Mark backup.
There's a lot of good finds here,
and then
but
you can't boom because the board's too wide.
this is what I'm talking about. Kaboom is a pretty weak hero power here.
Zap. Zap Kaboom. It sounds like a 60s comic strip. Probably is.
Saiyan's got to be really careful about the second mind control tech. He baited out the first one on, you know, a pretty decently weak board. Maybe he capitalized on Feno being so stressed out that he wanted to bait it out there. That way, eventually, maybe he could, you know, do some crazy Carnivorous Cube, play dead turns.
Feno has some good turns coming up as well, given the situation. He has the Omega Assembly, the Brawl and MC Tech are there for when he wants it, and then that hand gets emptied out after you played all this good stuff that you're probably not out of touch with the game, and then you've got the Azalina, which is pretty mediocre, but if you've got Boom and they haven't, and you've got the same cards as your opponent, you might get into a good spot that way.
Saiyan needs to find that Rexar. I cannot stress how important that card is in this matchup. You see him hold on to the trackings because he knows this game will come to fatigue. If he doesn't pick up that card relatively soon, it's going to spell more and more trouble as Feno will actually be able to outvalue him for the most part.
Nice free kill here from the Dynamatic.
Yeah, that's one of those times on ladder where I would have forgotten Dynamatic hits the mech.
Yeah, you're saying you did that with the annoyance ones.
And I've been like, why did I kill the Grizzly?
Well played.
Well played.
Yeah, and Feno, if he can get a spot where he's ahead on board for one turn, which will be a 2 or 3 minions from now, then he can drop the Azalina, the game changes.
That changes everything right now. You see him even fitting in that first hero power. Feno leaning back in his chair, knowing what that means.
It means that for the 3rd time,
What was looking to be so great for Feno is now looking so bad.
But it's going to take time to do its work. Rexar does its work over several turns.
There's still a chance.
Yeah, Feno's not in the most terrible position yet.
But the one great thing about this new Death Rattle version is ever since Spider Bomb got added to the game, it allows the Hunter to be able to answer large-scale minions without having to run awkward cards like that Deadly Shot. It can just go ahead and tempo that out alongside a Play Dead, alongside a Carnivorous Cube, just something in order to be able to answer any large-scale threat that Feno will be able to play.
The thing is, if saying that the first thing you tend to do with Rexar is solidify your situation. If he goes too far, making some big things that stick in his hand, that Azalina's waiting. Rexar can do all the work, and Azalina just says, I'll have him. So Saiyan's got to keep control of the board, because if he loses it, Feno just gets this mirror match, and then the Rexar is way too slow, because Feno's just dropping your old zombies on the board at you.
Now you see the benefit of having those mechs with Rush, can be able to answer some things time after time. That Kaboom hero power is not what he wants to see right now. Mossy Horror is a pretty decent draw. Not sure if he'll want to commit it now.
Cave Hydra.
Cave Hydra is very powerful.
Always Cave Hydra.
There's also some merit for Augmented Elec, and the reason I say this is because if you do find the Raptor Hatchling and you can tempo out an Augmented Elec with maybe a rushing Raptor Hatchling, you can start to shuffle those minions back into your deck. That way, when it does come to that fatigue game,
you get 2 or 3 turns.
You get those extra turns that are very crucial. It looks like Saiyan's just going for the approach of trying to make the largest minion each turn just to play out, say, answer it, Feno, and if you don't, it's going to hit you in the face.
Just to clear what we're talking about there for people who haven't been here from the start. Basically, the later you draw Rexar, the more close you are to fatigue. So you've got to find ways, like not playing tracking, to buy yourself time to get all the cards you can from the Rexar, because that's how you win. It's one of the ways you win.
Yeah,
on top of the fact that you should be able to have some death rattle things.
I'd say one of the main ways you win is either by early pressure with some kind of cube shenanigans, or by just having access to that Rexar and being able to make that beast every turn. But Feno only gets 2 mechs there.
Yeah, and I think that's an indication that Azalina's on his mind.
I think so.
He just wants to start emptying this hand out, setting up for Azalina, and Saiyan might recognize that one. I know I overdo hand reading sometimes, but Saiyan will definitely wonder what that meant, because that's a weird play in a value matchup.
I mean, maybe he just feels as if all the cards are so important that he doesn't want to get rid of any of them. So Saiyan's going to be having a read that maybe it's 2 shield slams, maybe it's, you know, an Azalina in the hand. Could have played that first, but it looks like he wanted to see what the mechs were. He also didn't want to burn a card, so if he'd played that first, he'd essentially be forced to burn that card. Katharina off the top.
Yeah, this is the other win condition in action.
I'm going to go ahead and build that beast first. Life Drinker is pretty powerful, but that Raptor Hatchling is what I was talking about earlier. It gives you extra turns into fatigue, and he even recognizes that and takes it.
Yep, and don't have to immediately play it. That's the thing. It's just going to buy you a turn at some point in the game. The game's way too finely poised at the moment to be going with that. Just forcing through some chip damage for now. And this battle for board in the last 6 or 7 turns with inefficient minions for the large part. The Mossy Horror did its part. Feno's just never had that half a turn he needs to be able to really try and take command. And it's no surprise, his deck's not built to get the board.
No, this deck is built to try and control those aggressive plays, and with a deck like Mid-Range Hunter, that mech Death Rattle Hunter, there's really not much that Feno can do. He has to try and find some way to take back this board state, to be able to push that damage, and it looks like he's going to go for a Hail Mary MC Tech here. Only gets a Raptor.
If he takes the cube there, the game turns around yet again.
I still think Saiyan's in a pretty strong spot if he takes that cube, but you're right. That was one of those plays he needed to do to be able to get himself back in the game.
We have liftoff. We had liftoff about 4 games ago in this terrific final here in Montreal. A wave of emotions going through both players all the way through this. They have both settled down again now. And they are currently fighting for a board, but Feno's fighting with warrior cards, which obviously are just better at cleaning things up than actually taking the control he needs.
And there you're going to see Saiyan, oh, the Corpse Widow. Another funny thing with that is, I've seen this before, if you generate the Corpse Widow and you do find that Raptor Hatchling with Echo and Rush, you can actually keep trading into minions to put a bunch of 4/3s into your deck
That's
to
like-
take it
yeah.
even further. And, you know, when the warrior sometimes gets close, sometimes that happens and ends the game there.
Saying, looking at that. Death Rattle's really good anyway, lowering the Death Rattle costs in
Allows you
this
to
deck.
play multiple of those minions in a turn.
I've seen Zalay just play Corpse Widow in this deck to try it out, and
Yeah, it
it
was
stayed in the deck a long time.
It was something that was tested out for the longest time. It means that you can go ahead and Katharina on curve. It does make Katharina 6 mana. It also means that you just be able to play eggs with it. You used to be able to play loot hoarders with it. If you had something on the board like that Houndmaster Shaw and you curved out, played a loot hoarder, you could rush with it. Very versatile card. It doesn't see much play currently. It's just not, you know, well suited for the deck. It makes it a little bit more inconsistent with your Katharina pulls. Still a very powerful card.
Elise versus Rexar is not a fair fight. You have to wait for your 5 cards, and then most of them are rubbish.
And then Rexar builds a card every turn.
Yeah. And they're not rubbish usually.
And usually they're pretty damn strong.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
Boom said it. This would be a good time for Feno to get a master plan together, but what can he do?
That master plan is going to consist of him trying to win this board state however he can.
Slowly getting away from him, though. A turn after turn, the end of his turn, he no longer has the board. A few turns ago, at the end of his turn, he was keeping some semblance of board, but Rexar's grinding him down.
And that's what Rexar has been doing best in his Deathstalker form. Used to be that, you know, you'd play as aggressively as possible and just get the game over with as quickly as possible. Rexar has turned the other cheek, and now he's trying to end the game in a slow and painful way.
Yeah, Feno's held on to this brawl forever, but it's getting close to the point now where he's going to have to use it.
I wouldn't be surprised to see it here.
I think he's setting it up.
No, still just being patient about it. Ooh, the Raptor ends up dying. Doesn't really mean much, but
It does to the Raptor.
yeah. That Raptor, that poor
Had a
Raptor.
family and everything. Microbots. Feno's not had the best form here from the Boom Hero power, but the most important thing was Saiyan getting Rexar. The most important thing last game was Saiyan getting Rexar.
Rexar has been the MVP of Saiyan's life, and you know, we were talking to some of Saiyan's teammates and they said, you know, not banning this hunter was a mistake. And I wonder if Feno's thinking about it now. Was it correct to not ban this hunter? This hunter is on the potential of reverse sweeping Feno.
And it's just starting to look so lopsided. Well, not starting, it's looked at it for a while, but it's
Yes.
really starting to become apparent why it's so lopsided in the last 3 or 4 turns.
You start to see that there's really not much Feno can do. Saiyan right now is thinking about everything from positioning to what kind of beasts he wants to build to how does he, you know, try and optimize against Azalina.
And Brawl.
Brawl, does he even want to swing these minions? I think he's going to. He wants to push that damage. Feno is now below 30 health.
I understand why you say that. It's just amusing. Like, we've got to turn 26 or something.
He's now
already
below
he's
30.
taken some damage, yeah. But now he has very little way of getting health back. Obviously, there is a hero power that gets him 7, but it does nothing when he draws that anyway.
Wouldn't be surprised to see the play as Iron Beak Owl onto the Devilsaur Egg.
Okay,
With a
then.
Brawl, can even hero power afterwards, or could go for the Iron Beak Owl, put the hero power out first, and then Brawl to try and maximize his chances of one of his minions living.
The trouble is he has so limited opportunities to play Brawl in this. He's held onto it so well, but as this board gets out of control, so the necessity to Brawl increases.
Looks like he's going to hero power after, and I don't really like that. There's a lot of minions that he does not want to live. Doesn't get punished there for that, but you know, it's a consideration that he needs these minions as well onto the board.
And he's got the board, yeah. It's worked for him. That's the play he was going for, I think.
He's got the board, but it's just a couple
yeah.
measly 1/1s.
But it's the only board he's got.
Cherish it while you can. Bittertide Hydra. It's a scary minion to take. It's pretty powerful, especially if you get, you know, Wind Fury onto it or Charge. But that's sometimes how they can get back in this game, is by making use of being able to capitalize on putting damage into the Hydra to put you even more and more into fatigue. Or just taking damage in general.
Yeah, Saiyan's taken a lot of stealth minions in this matchup. No surprise there.
It makes sense. Stealth is something that kind of guarantees an attack the next turn.
Super Collider is the thing. He's got getting armor next turn, so that will fuel at least one turn of Super Colliding. And this is the thing with the Vexar that we talked about earlier. It does generate this huge amount of value, but the cards do stick in your hand a bit, and Azalina is there waiting still. We've talked about that too.
Oh, I'm playing the Alarmabot. That could pull out the Azalina. Curious to see if Saiyan goes ahead and leaves that up. Maybe it's a bait by Feno, trying to make Saiyan, you know, put a little bit of damage into that just so that something like Baku does not come out of the hand. Because Saiyan does not want to have to waste his turn answering a large-scale minion. Felt as if it was kind of a bait on Feno's part to play that card out. But Saiyan could just, you know, read Feno and say, hey, well, you know what? Go ahead and pull that minion out. I'm just going to keep pressuring you.
But if it doesn't pull Azalina, the temptation is there to play Azalina because it's pulled one of the others. It gives you a board for very little mana.
True.
And actually sets up a board for you to Azalina with. I think that might be what he's going for here. I've said it a few times, though, and he's held on to her, but there's a handful of zombies. It might not be the worst time, but it's the worst time when they have this much damage on board.
Yeah, and you do have that rush from that King Mukla, so it makes sense to, you know, just go ahead and get it out of the board. Doesn't want to waste anything. Doesn't want to really play with a fire there. That Super Collider placement by Saiyan is pretty strong.
Well, you can shield slam one of them and Super Collider the others.
He's been consciously playing around that Super Collider the entire game. And although Super Collider is very powerful, it's only powerful when you've got life to work with. Feno now down to just 18 health.
Snap picks a way to fix that problem, but the problems are getting bigger and bigger.
There's still King Crush in the deck. That could be enough pressure on its own.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the strongest way to answer that minion if it does come out. Saiyan also wants to build a beast every turn.
Yeah, so going for the Katharina would actually lower the number of cards in his deck, and the deck's doing just fine, thanks very much.
Yeah, I don't think Saiyan needs to go for that just yet. I like the idea of him building beasts every turn. You wanted that card for a reason. Bear Shark powerful, but so is Vicious Fledgling. A Wind Fury Bear Shark seems like the take here.
Coming to a cinema near you.
Wind Fury Bear Shark.
You thought tornadoes were bad.
From the maker of Poisonous Blowback.
And now he's in a position where he's setting up lethal opportunities turn after turn. It's gone from slowly grinding Feno down to getting towards the end game now.
And Feno's just got to kind of rely on this, you know, hitting the way he wants to. Actually, he didn't need it to hit the way he wants to. He does have that Dynamatic that can full clear that board.
Could have bananaed one first.
I don't think he needs to because he does have this Dynamatic to be able to clear out the rest of the minions.
Yeah, that's exactly numbered, okay.
Might have, you know, changed up the play just quite a little bit.
Again, finding a way to get the board.
But honestly, at 15 health, knowing that there's still powerful cards like King Crush in the deck,
yeah,
even having the board may not be enough.
And there's still the basic game plan available here for Saiyan, the one that you actually build the deck to do in the first place, which is, you know, play Shore, rush in an egg, copy it, whatever, all those things. And just completely ignore the fact you've got Vexar for one turn, but you don't like doing that.
No, you want to capitalize this as much as possible. Gets the Tundra Rhino. These are a little awkward, but Bloodworm does make it fairly large. Just going to go with the Stone Tusk Boar, wants to make it as cheap as possible.
Yeah, now we've got Rush now. If that's dealt with, you've got the Rhino, which is going to give everything charge. We've said it for a few turns, we've said it for a lot of turns, but Feno is running out of ways to hang on. He keeps finding new ways to not die, which is what this deck does. But there's a lot of things he's got to get through to make this work.
Feno is just slowly, turn after turn, trying to find a way to win this game somehow, but being at half the life of Justsaiyan, and Justsaiyan have just that extremely powerful hero power at his disposal. Don't know if he can do it.
And every time you think, oh, maybe there's just one turn coming up at some point where Feno gets to keep things on the board. Saiyan's handful of charge and rush and threats and death rattles suddenly reminds you that maybe that's not going to happen.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the play dead, even the Terra Scale Stalker. It finally gets use out of these cards that, you know, Justsaiyan has not been used and still allows him to fit in that hero power as well. Cave Hydra is a pretty powerful take.
We must talk about the trackings a bit now as well, because if they'd been used earlier, it'd be maybe 2 cards less in his deck.
Yes.
The ones that may have been discarded if you hit the Rexar with them.
It's very difficult to say, you know, how this game would have changed. Saiyan would be closer to fatigue, but it may not have changed when he was able to put on this pressure.
Well, Reckless Flurry comes at a time when he's going to have armor.
It does, but
it doesn't do anything by one more turn. So
5 mana
Super
kill,
Collider again.
5 mana kill 2 3/3s.
What can he do? So he can Super Collide at the end of these. That seems perfect. Gain 7 armor. That seems like a thing you need to do with a Flurry in your hand.
Gluttonous Ooze just to get it onto the board to play something. Will also give you another armor because it will destroy that weapon.
What about Ooze? I want to play Sazalina. I've wanted to play it for a long time.
I don't know if you can afford to.
He's never been able to afford to. He's wanted to for the longest time.
Because if you play it, you're forfeiting the fact that you can't use this Brawler Shield Slam.
Yeah.
And Saiyan will just have the board over him.
Yeah, that's why he's been fighting for the board so hard all game. But again, just not got the right tools to do it other than keep alive, keep alive. Hope the delivery drone delivers.
Saiyan does finally not have the board anymore.
Yeah, briefly, but he's got a handful of charge.
Does have a handful of very powerful plays.
He's been very patient in this game. I think we should credit that as well.
Yes, he has.
And
He's been
he
taking his
stuck to
time.
the game plan, didn't panic when his opening 6 or 7 cards were absolutely dreadful. And now, the last few turns, has been reaping the rewards from that patience. And has continued to be patient.
He's going to go for the Katharina. I believe this is guaranteed a King Crush here. Wouldn't be surprised to see him push this face. Feno is now on the back foot, does not have a great way of answering it. Can't use that Shield Slam right now. Does have double Zilliax. That'll be able to give him a bit of life while clearing up that King Crush.
Yeah.
I think that has to be the play here.
But there is the charging Rhino.
Don't remind me of the charging Rhino. That brings back nightmares. That card is just absurd.
Why?
Just the fact that you can make it with stealth and you just hide it there.
I mean, that's good, but we've all faced that. Why do you think you're alone in this one, Jay?
Looks like, you know, Feno's opting to go for a wider board state. Wants to make sure that both of those minions on the board does have the Cave Hydra zombies to be able to clear up both of those. And the flanking strike just picked up. Could answer one that way. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Rhino flanking strike. You know, he's built a beast every turn, but he's still got a lot of these beasts to kind of get through.
It's a huge amount of damage to face.
It is. I want to push this 7 face. It will put Feno to 13 because he will gain 3 from the attack of the Rhino.
The flanking strike minion will have charge as well.
That's right. He'll put him down to 10. You can even keep the Rhino healthy by just trading off that 3/3 wolf.
Yeah.
I like this.
Raptor strike.
Looking more than grim now. I think we've gone through the grim phase. Feno's range of emotions is going to end in him almost certainly not taking this down. Looked like he'd won it twice. This game in particular when the game before, so in particular when Rexar was just required to save the game.
Does have Ironbeak Owl Brawl for a last-ditch effort.
Yeah.
And it's actually funny because Saiyan, unless he builds a beast that kills him, doesn't have lethal, no matter which one of these minions currently lives. I believe that Raptor Hatching does not have charge.
All right, well, your play.
Looks like he's going to go for the Super Collider instead. I like this as well. Can save onto the Brawl for one more turn. Does take 3 damage. Gets rid of that Rhino. If either of those minions lived, it would have spelled trouble.
He's got the board again.
just barely. I think Build a Beast is the start. Wants to find that charge.
Change that.
Raptor Hatchling's not a bad take.
Yeah, still sticking to the game plan even in this situation, just in case something bad happens to him.
He does take the Silverback Patriarch, can play 2 minions this turn. And the Stone Skin could take that as well. Wants to keep putting them onto the board.
Trying to get as much diversity as he can in this lineup of cards. Well, he's trying to get a charge minion to end the game, but he's not getting that, so now...
I don't mind just playing the big minion here. Feno really doesn't have an answer besides playing Zola, playing Brawl, hoping that one of his minions lives, and that barely keeps him alive for just another turn.
Yeah, and every turn, we've talked about it a few times now, the hand size differential is just becoming bigger and bigger. The difference at the end of turns on board is being bigger and bigger, apart from Feno's owl turn.
What lives? The Zola's gonna live. That gives Feno one more turn. But can he handle the Wrath of the Beasts?
I think he needs some. He's only had like 1 delivery drone, I feel. That's not helped him.
Yeah.
He got the boom down pretty early.
Saiyan's gonna go ahead and build something. Tundra Rhino's a good build. Stranglethorn Tiger would be able to end the game next turn. I think he's gonna take it.
Ending games is good, especially when they're the final of DreamHack Montreal.
Can even, you know, just play out a wide board state that really can't be answered here. I mean, what does Feno have to draw here? Even if he plays Azalina,
that's too late. He's needed to get the board and play Azalina for some time. He's been fighting for the board, but never got it. Never got it big enough to have that go.
And what's the draw here for Feno? Reckless Flurry. It's not going to do it. I think he's going to Azalina see the hand.
And the Rhino's going to do it. The Hunter's Mark can take care of the bear, but the Rhino is going to do it next turn. There's no taunt available here for Feno. He's so close to taking this down. He said after winning his semi-final, he said, I don't want to be in the final because I don't want to lose. And Saiyan, who was in despair in the middle of game 3, sees Feno takes off the headset, and he is the champion of DreamHack Montreal. He's the player with the most DreamHack wins of all time. And look, they've been through this together all season, and finally one of them, Justsaiyan, has taken down a tour stop. Feno's going to have to wait a while, but his turn will come surely very soon.
I'm in disbelief. That was, in all of the DreamHack finals that I have ever watched, that was the most incredible final series. It looked like Saiyan had no freaking chance to come back from that 2-game deficit. I mean, Feno played so well. He had an amazing run to get here. 12 matches in a row, had not lost a single series. And Saiyan, from the brink of defeat, stayed calm, stayed cool, stayed collected. He won the Hunter versus Quest Rogue matchup, which is so hard.
Yeah, he thought
so
he was
difficult
doomed.
to win.
Halfway through that second game, he thought he was dead. He thought the tournament is over, I'm losing the Odd Rogue match, therefore I'm losing this event.
And despite all of the odds being stacked against him, Justsaiyan is the DreamHack Montreal 2018 champion. Champion from last year, Muzzy, his teammate. They are keeping it in the Tempo Storm family. And again,
Amnesiac won Austin.
Back-to-back Tempo Storm DreamHack champions.
We have to say, seriously, Feno did his country so proud. He played so well this weekend, and his time will come. All you Greeks in the chat, make sure you stick around for the next time, because your boy will be winning one of these titles one day. But unfortunately, it is not today, because Justsaiyan has won the DreamHack Montreal 2018 Hearthstone Grand Prix Championship title. And we've got the man himself coming into the studio. We're going to ask him some questions. I cannot wait to be able to ask him what was going through his head after that third game when he finally managed to take the win against Rogue, because the rest of the series from then on out was absolutely amazing. So we've got Justsaiyan on the desk. Saiyan, congratulations. In 5 games from being down a 2-game deficit, you are the DreamHack Montreal champion. How are you feeling?
Am I in the script now? Because I don't even believe that last set.
Yeah, let me just circle your name real quick on the paper. Put a big W next to it. There you go. There's the script. You won.
I mean, I think Feno was just so far ahead. I lost against Quest Rogue with the Druid and then with the Rogue. So I had Death Rattle Hunter against Quest Rogue. It wasn't looking very good. But I think sometimes Quest Rogue does draw bad. They get Sonya and then they have no value. Yeah, it's pretty unreal.
How do you keep calm in that situation? You're down 2 games. You're going into a really unfavored game number 3. How do you manage to just stay cool in the midst of all that and still play your best?
Well, I was just thinking to myself, yesterday I beat Quest Rogue with even Warlock, so maybe we can do it with Death Rattle Hunter. The deck isn't that good, right? Feno's not like the best pilot at the deck or anything.
It's not like he hadn't lost a single match up until this point or anything. I mean, that would just be a little bit absurd.
Yeah, Feno was dominating, and I don't know. I didn't respect Quest Rogue. Took out my aggro decks, and then it didn't take out my last control deck, so it's unfortunate.
Talk to us a little bit about your preparation, your lineup strategy coming into this. Well, what was going on there?
So I've just prepped with Muzzy, Amnesiac, Lead Paint, Nostam, Yo, It's Flow, just the guys, the boys, and I think we all brought basically the same lineup with a few different tech choices here and there. And I mean, Amnesiac made it to 7-1. Muzzy fell just like a little bit short, but I mean, overall, the lineup was super consistent for LHS, and I have them to thank for this. So shout outs to all of them.
Is there anything that you would, if you could do it differently, would you go back and change anything? Or were you generally pretty happy with how this all turned out?
I think, you guys writing the script was pretty nice coming out here. Finally getting a major win is just it's so unreal. And I think I knew it was going to happen as soon as like Hunter Ace and I faced off, because every time we face off, one of us, the winner, which is usually Hunter Ace, wins the whole thing. So I knew if I beat him, I would just take his power and take it all the way.
Well, we got to ask about that rivalry a little bit, because you've been in 2 Tour Stop semifinals up to this point, and you lost to Hunter Ace both times. How did it finally feel to beat Hunter Ace?
So between us, there's not like a huge edge in gameplay, but he definitely mind games me, I think. The first 2. Yes, they were conquests, but he snuck in like a bad deck at the right time. And this time I got the right Q order against him, so it feels good to like, after a while you get to know like how, Hunter Ace is thinking, and then maybe you pick up on a little few things. And I think just getting the right Q in LHS this time around wasn't like an accident. I think I had a good idea of how he's going to lead.
You love it when all that hard work pays off. Jace, Lorinda, you guys have any questions for our champion?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to have say big congratulations. You really deserve it. You've been working so hard throughout the years, and I'm really glad to see you get your final win.
Yeah, nothing much to add to that. I'm so pleased to see that happen, man. I'm absolutely delighted to see you get there. I know how hard you've worked all season for it, so well done.
Yeah, Lorinda, you've been behind my back all the way. You're talking about all the DreamHack wins and the percents and things like that, and yeah, eventually we got there.
If you have the most DreamHack wins, eventually you win a DreamHack, I guess. You did it in the other order.
Yeah, I wasn't like, all the tops, I would trade it all for a win,
Yeah.
Because like Muzzy won 1, Amnesiac won 1, taking out this last one means
Back to leading from the front.
Yeah.
All of Team Tempo Storm have now officially won a Tour Stop for this year. That is a phenomenal team if ever I've seen one. Congratulations, Justsaiyan. Dr. J, would you please do the honors and present our DreamHack Montreal 2018 champion with his trophy. You officially are the DreamHack Montreal 2018 champion. Justsaiyan. I'm sure there's lots of clapping happening at home. But seriously, Saiyan, it has been an absolute joy to get to watch your journey throughout this entire tournament and throughout all of the other tour stops that you've attended over the course of the year. And we want to extend a big congratulations to Feno and the rest of the top 16 for making it as far as they did in the tournament. It was an absolute pleasure to get to watch all of these matches this weekend. And ultimately, Justsaiyan is the DreamHack Montreal 2018 Hearthstone Grand Prix champion. What an incredible weekend it has been. Thank you all so much for joining us. And a special thanks, of course, to Corsair for making all of the DreamHack events this year possible. We're going to be taking a little break now, but we will be back in November with DreamHack Atlanta, and then in December with DreamHack Winter. So, in the meantime, Enjoy playing Hearthstone, and thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you in November.